Baker Mayfield, because we were hearing reports that Baker wasn't all that upset that that Hugh Jackson was gone. So what do they need to do now to help him?
I'll start it out. I think they need a #1 wide receiver. We see that a lot in the NFL when a rookie goes through his first year. A lot of times he comes in and the cupboard is bare. This cupboard is not bare. They've got talent. I like David Njoku, the tight end, from what I've seen from him early on. Jarvis Landry is certainly a piece. Okay, I'm not going to insult Jarvis Landry by saying they need a #1 wide receiver.
Don't you go against the juice?
I wouldn't go against the juice. No, nobody who you nickname.
I can't believe you're going against the juice.
No. But I still think that you see it a lot of times in the NFL. Carson Wentz, after his first year, the Eagles went out and got Alshon Jeffrey. The Bears got a bunch of receivers, but included Allen Robinson in that one. So I think that that's the way that they need to go. Look, we'll see who's available after this year. They certainly did have their conversations with Des Bryant. I don't think he's a #1 anymore. You've got draft picks. You got whatever. You've got a number of different places to find it. That's what I would try and do.
Look, I mean, they're missing a left tackle. Obviously, when Joe Thomas retired.
It's a big loss, yeah.
So they definitely need to help out with that. I mean, you know Baker Mayfield, with a rookie quarterback, you're going to have a bunch of sacks. You're going to have coverage sacks. You're going to have times where he doesn't see the coverage. And even as athletic as Baker is, you know, they're still struggling with all that. But it's really just, when you look at this offense and when you really look at the play design and all that, you've got to get some consistency and give this guy some confidence. So you look at we talked about Goff and Wentz, their rookie years, they looked awful. But Sean McVay and Doug Peterson, they laid the groundwork for year 2. And that's really what I hope for Baker Mayfield. You hope this rookie year isn't a waste. You know, you go out here and if all of a sudden this offense that he's running right now this year is not the same offense he's running next year. We saw it happen to Sam Bradford. We saw it happen to Tannehill. When you change offenses and now you come back in the spring, you're starting over. And that's what Baker Mayfield, they can't do to him. That's going to stunt his growth. So definitely starts up front, but then it's also with the scheme.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's my take on it. That's why I say you don't fire Hugh, because I would have liked to see Baker grow in this offense and have another year. Now you're essentially saying he's going to be a rookie again, learning a new offense. He's going to spend all offseason trying to get that terminology. And we know how complex that terminology can be sometimes. And so I would have liked to see them keep at least one of them. Like you said, though, Mike, it was I can't believe that it was that much friction in that locker room. You know,
Did you watch Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
Well, it was in the coach's locker room.
It was everywhere.
I did watch it, but how does something like that even happen? How do you get to that point? Because as players, we've seen coaches
that seems like
that don't know a lot.
It seems like that's on Hugh for letting it get to that point.
Well,
yes,
but at the same time, we all know the kind of personality Ty Haley is. He's not necessarily easy to get along with. And so when you go into that marriage, you go into that knowing, all right, sometimes I'm going to have to let Ty win for the betterment of the team. You know, an argument, I know I'm the head guy, but I can still swallow my ego and say, all right, Todd, we'll do it this way.
Got to go both ways.
But exactly, it never went both ways. And that to me is the sad part, because it will set Baker Mayfield back a little bit. But I think, you know, I think he'll be able to overcome it. But it's going to be interesting, because even if Greg Williams does a great job, which I know this defense is going to play good. Greg is going to do a good job defensively, but I just don't know. The play caller now is the running back coach.
He's never designed an offense.
Done it before.
He's never called a game. Or he called a game in the preseason.
That's what I'm worried about.
But Freddie is a guy that really gets along very well with players, really good communication between him and the players. Well, as an offensive coordinator, but as a head coach, I'm just, from now, you've got Freddie Kitchen stepping into that role. I think you could see a guy who worked under Bruce Arians in Arizona really could blossom a little bit. I think this is a good opportunity for him. And at some point, is a guy going to be a coordinator, or is he not going to be a coordinator? We're going to find that out for Freddie Kitchen right now.
It's going to be tough, too. They have the Chiefs this week, so you get a new sort of
there you go. That's just who you want to play.
In the middle of the week, and a rookie quarterback playing the Chiefs. Omar Ruiz.
The defense is going to have it tougher than the quarterback.
That's true.
They be browning. We call that browning.
Is Omar Ruiz browning right now? He is in.
Okay.
Nope, that's terrible. Hey, Omar, you are in. You coming up next hour. But yes, I guess on one hand, I look at the coaching changes and I think, why didn't they do this at the end of last year? Why didn't they get rid of you?
Well,
but hey, I will tell you why. Listen, Garofalo, because at this point, the Browns' job, it's way more attractive for coaches as well. So you can get so many other guys to possibly come in here than you would have been able to do at the end of last season, now that you have Baker, now that you have this defense playing well, now that you have all of these young playmakers. Continue what you were saying, Garofalo.
Yeah, you shut your mouth when you're talking about her.
Schooled me. She did, I'll tell you that much. No, you're right, though.
Oh,
you're right.
wow.
Listen, when they went for the GM the last time, I said, who's going to want this job? People around the league said, I do.
Well, they had a ton of draft picks.
There was so much draft capital now. And now you've got talent already coming in. You've got the potential to bring in more going forward here. I think it's an attractive job for a coach. I really do. Why didn't they fire him? Why didn't they fire him when John Dorsey came in? The reason was that Jimmy Haslam had already said before that hire, because when he fired Sashi Brown, that Hugh Jackson is continuing. So John Dorsey didn't even get to make that decision. You maybe want, and I understand why Jimmy Haslam did that, because there had been so much turnover before that he didn't want to go back on his word, and he also wanted to preach some kind of continuity there. So that's why he said that he was going to stay. It just felt like it was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Browning.
Listen, I said it before.
I like how you always take 2 seconds to
I'm
compose himself.
I'm absorbing all this. But yeah, it's one of my former teams. And listen, I've got a lot of love for Browns fans, and I hate that they're going through this again. And I just look at this and I think, man, it's a game of inches. We talk about that all the time, right, with the football. I mean, this team, like, if they make 3 field goals, this probably doesn't happen.
Exactly.
So it's as much as everybody wants to say, man, this team is just a total dumpster fire. Look, I mean, this team is so much better right now than they've ever been. This defense is so talented, and Greg Williams, I mean, look, he's the mad scientist. He's confused a lot of quarterbacks. Look at what they did to Drew Brees. You look at the way that they've hung in some of these games. So, look, they're a lot closer than I think people are giving them credit for. When you fire the coach, when you have all this change, everybody is just like, well, you know what, here we go again. I never got that feeling with this year's Browns. So that's why this, you know, look, you said a shocker. I mean, yesterday we sat here and everybody talked about, well, maybe they're going to part ways with Haley. We didn't think they were going to both get
that was what was shocking to me.
It's obvious that they you know, the negative effects of that were trickling down to the players, and that's what they had to cut off.
Yeah, and I think that's what we'll see as time keeps going on. We'll see more stories about what was going on in that locker room, and I think it was just so toxic that they had to move on. I would have liked them to make a decision on one of them, because I feel like for the betterment of that team and that offense to continue to get better week in and week out, I think you needed to keep one of them. But, you know, I know Greg Williams will have these guys motivated and fired up and ready to play, but Greg Williams doesn't affect the offense at all, and that's the scary part. You have to score points in this league. So I wish him luck. That 4th preseason game don't really mean a lot to anybody. I don't even know who's out there playing. So
means a lot to Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, it does. He scored 35.
Kitchens. Baker.
Oh, God.
Baker in the kitchen.
Low-hanging fruit.
Oh, yeah.
You get an F for that. How about that?
Fruit in the
We have
kitchen,
more
you bake it with fruit,
grades
you know.
coming up. The Chiefs and their stars, they have them sitting at 7-1 right now. So good. We're going to give out some more grades next. Feels like
They're going to win 9 games.